welcome to the SVG-TV news for Thursday, November 16th. I am Khalil Kato with the details. A major new development package for SVG was signed on the first day of the CARICOM Saudi Arabia Summit. The agreement was signed yesterday at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Riyadh. The CEO of the Saudi Fund for Development, SFD, Sultan bin Abdul Rahman Al Mashad, and Prime Minister Dr. Alf Gonzalez signed the Memorandum of Understanding, which will see SVG benefiting from millions of dollars from the Saudi Fund for Development towards infrastructure projects in the sectors of housing, education, health, sporting facilities, and citizen and community security. At the signing, CEO Sultan bin Abdul Rahman Al Mashad said that he is very happy to sign the agreement, which will help with the development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
It is my great pleasure to meet His Excellency the Prime Minister for the second time. The first time was in St. Vincent, and now the second time in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. I would like to give him warm welcome. I hope that he will have a very successful visit to Saudi Arabia, and we are more than happy to sign the third agreement to finance the infrastructure projects in St. Vincent. As the Saudi Fund for Development CEO, we are proud to be a development partner with the St. Vincent. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you.
Noting the significance of the package signed, Prime Minister Gonzalez thanked the CEO for the partnership that is building between SVG and Saudi Arabia.
Well, I'm very happy to see my brother again. We have just signed the Memorandum of Understanding in relation to the second tranche of projects. The first tranche, we took that to our Parliament, we signed those agreements. We will hopefully sign these agreements arising from the Memorandum of Understanding on December, sometime in December. His Excellency has promised to come. And we'll get them to Parliament in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in very quick time. It's a significant package of resources, and what we are building is not just St. Vincent and Grenadines and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but we are also building CARICOM and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia a strategic partnership, not an episodic one which we noticed that Saudi Arabia itself,
and we are more than happy to sign the third agreement
moving
to finance
beyond
the infrastructure projects
immediate neighborhood
in St. Vincent,
and participating in a very serious way in global activities, establishing leadership of a very progressive kind. And I want to thank His Excellency the Saudi Fund. I want to thank His Majesty.
It is my great pleasure
and the
to
government
meet
and people of Saudi
His
Arabia
Excellency the Prime Minister
for this
for the second
partnership
time.
which we are building.
The first time was in St. Vincent.
The Prime Minister is leading a 10-member delegation to the first CARICOM Saudi Arabia Summit. They are expected to return to the state this weekend. On radio last evening, Minister of Finance and MP for East St. George, Camilo Gonzalez, said the agreement signed by the Prime Minister in Saudi Arabia amounts to $50 million, which is on top of the $60 million signed recently on a visit here to SVG by representatives of the Saudi Fund for Development.
So we're talking in US dollars, a total of $66 million that we have committed from our friends in Saudi Arabia. And that's 178, 180 somewhere there, million EC dollars that we're getting from Saudi Arabia. We're getting it at very good rates. It's a loan at a soft loan, 2%, and we have committed that money, the whole $178 million, to a number of projects that we think are going to help develop St. Vincent and the Grenadines fundamentally. The first one, which the Prime Minister has been talking about for a while because they came out of the first 16 million, are the cultural and educational hubs. And What that is that the Prime Minister is investing $16 million in cultural hubs in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And those cultural hubs are going to provide a space on the windward side and a space on the leeward side for performance artists, actors, musicians, singers, players of instruments, for visual artists, painters and sculptors, for dancing and for a number of artistic pursuits, including literary pursuits, writing and poetry and all the rest of it, to enrich the opportunities for our young people to learn and practice the cultural arts.
Minister Gonzalez said of the $50 million or 135 million EC dollars signed with the Saudis, it will be used on different things, with a large portion going towards building houses and providing building materials for people.
First thing you need to know about the money is that the Prime Minister has been hearing the cry of people who, as this weather gets worse, as the rainy seasons get worse, as the hurricane seasons get worse, as it causes more damage to your house, and more people need building materials and need support with their houses. Some of these people whose houses were damaged by storms or by the volcano. Some of it is people whose houses have just been steadily damaged by bad weather and are having trouble to live in resilient homes. And a big portion of that Saudi money is for houses, is to build houses for people. And it is also to provide building materials for people who don't need a new house, but who need some support to make their homes more resilient. And there's a tremendous amount of money in there for support to housing. And I'm very excited, and people should look out for announcements coming out of this Saudi fund for new homes being built. Right now, we're building a lot of houses, but we're building almost all of those houses in the red zone. People who are affected by the volcano. So we're building houses in Orange Hill, and we're building houses in Sandy Bay. We're building houses in Cumberland on the leeward coast. But we have not, the focus has been in helping people to recover from the volcano. The Saudi money is to spread the housing, the continuing housing revolution beyond North Windward and North Leeward, and to address some of the pent-up demand that people have for resilient houses all across St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The finance minister said monies from the agreement signed with the Saudi Development Fund by the Prime Minister will go towards education for a rollout of a comprehensive repair plan for schools across St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and the building of a secondary school in the East St. George constituency.
It's not the new schools that we're building, but to roll out repair for the schools that are not being built over from scratch. And so a big part of that money that you saw the Prime Minister, the big part of what you saw the Prime Minister signing, if you see these pictures on social media, is related to help for education. Speaking for the people of East St. George, I want you to know that also inside of that package that we signed with the Saudis is money for the first secondary school in the constituency of East St. George. You wouldn't believe that with the biggest constituency, we have the most people, but we don't have a secondary school. So every day, we have primary schools. We have a good primary school in Caliqua, in Brighton, in Fair Hall. We have private schools like the Sugar Mill Academy and so on. But there are no secondary schools in East St. George. And so every day in the most populated constituency in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, there is an exodus of people leaving the constituency to go to Tong, to go to West St. George, to go to St. Clair Dacan, to go into Mespo. And it was strange to me as a representative that you have the most people. And people say, well, you have so much people that it makes sense to put the community college here. It makes sense to have these private schools like Sugar Mill here. It makes sense to have these big primary schools here, but there's no secondary school in the constituency. This Saudi money is going to contain resources for us to begin, for the very first time, a secondary school in East St. George. And that secondary school is going to be in Brighton. And you'll be hearing more about that during the budget debate, but that money has been locked up and secured now. And it's, trust me, that's I've seen the designs, I've seen some of the concepts, I've discussed some of the concepts. This is going to be a special school, and this is going to be a school that other people are going to be jealous of in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I'm really proud of what we're developing in terms of that secondary school. I'm really thrilled that the Prime Minister has signed the document that would bring that money home for us to begin the construction. We're not ready quite yet to begin construction. We're still in the design phase. We have to do some construction drawings. There's a little bit of land that we have to acquire, a few little things we have to do with roads and access to the physical location of the school and everything. But we're getting very close.
The East St. George MP says they are hoping to break ground on the secondary school in 2024. When developing the tourism product of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, two of the most important elements that are looked at are the resilience of the industry and developing a sustainable tourism product. This is according to Minister of Tourism Carlos James on the VC3 Roundtable Talk program last evening, as he outlined the significance of this year's Tourism Month theme, One Caribbean, investing in our people, protecting our planet, prosperity for all.
That comes to mind is when we're developing our tourism product, we look at two important elements of that. Our resilience as an industry, ensuring that when there's a pandemic or a natural disaster, any of the global shocks that from time to time small island states tend to grapple with, we're able to cushion that. We're able to sustain ourselves in terms of economic growth. And that's one of the most important things. But I think also is really developing a tourism product that is sustainable. And I've just came back from the World Travel Market. I was on a panel with global tourism leaders, along with Minister Fernandez from Antigua. And we spoke at length of the resilience of small island states within this global context of tourism, the moving parts and how fragile the industry is. And two of the things that came out and within the theme of our Caribbean tourism organizations, Tourism Month, is really the resilience of building out that resilience among stakeholders and among the industry, within the industry, but also how we develop our tourism product in a sustainable way. And when I speak to that globally or whether it's regionally or locally, it's really about developing our tourism product, not moving to mass tourism. I always say, I'm one of the few ministers of tourism that would say I don't want our country to become fully dependent on tourism.
Minister James further outlined plans and initiatives which the Ministry of Tourism will put in place to ensure resilience in the tourism sector of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which he said includes examining carefully the weakness of the sector and to have these addressed.
We then would look at what is required. How can we then sustain a viable tourism industry? And we're looking at the leakage that is taking place. We have to obviously look at how we can meet the demand and ensure that we reduce the importation of goods and services used by hoteliers as part of the development. So we are going to have to look at how we can marry a number of different services, including farmers and in fact, even I'm told that our local butchers, they're looking at how we can sustain the local industry, but also ramp up their production to meet the demand within the hotel and tourism sector. All of these things, we must create that balance in relation to that. We have to look at how importantly we can focus on ensuring that the climatic shocks, the global challenges that are out there, when we see occurrences of that nature, it doesn't affect our tourism product, where we have to close hotels, close our ports, close our borders, and we have to see how we can continue. We actually, during the pandemic, was one of the countries that remained open. It really proved to be the best decision. We were able to manage the pandemic in terms of our COVID numbers, but also places like Mustique, you had pretty much a normal level of activity taking place.
As part of the Tourism Month activities, community groups are invited to participate in a project proposal writing workshop scheduled for the 22nd and 23rd of November. The workshop aims to help groups develop ideas and enhance SVG's existing tourism products and services. The Know Your Country Tour and Tourism Lecture, scheduled for the 24th and 28th of November respectively, are additional activities geared towards empowering stakeholders and increasing knowledge about the tourism industry. Other activities for Tourism Month include a tourism colloquium and a tourism award ceremony and cocktail reception. The ceremony will be held on November 25th to appreciate the contribution and commitment of stakeholders in SVG. In its 72-hour outlook for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the SVG Meteorological Service says unstable conditions will continue to generate cloudy skies and pockets of light to moderate showers into Friday. It says there is also a medium chance of thunderstorm activity, and residents and motorists in areas prone to flooding and landslides or near rivers and streams are asked to exercise caution. The outlook says relatively fair conditions are expected from Saturday, as the Atlantic high pressure system is expected to become the dominant weather pattern, with fresh to strong 30 to 45 km/h winds northeasterly trades crossing the islands, but will shift to east-southeasterly from Friday and should significantly decrease to 15 to 25 km/h on Sunday. Seas are currently moderate in open waters but could improve on Sunday. Small craft operators and sea bathers are also asked to exercise caution for above normal sea swells and occasional gusty winds. In addition, the SVG Met Service says varying concentrations of Saharan dust haze will be visible throughout the forecast period, reducing visibility and air quality. The St. Vincent Girls High School GKA Codemaster Annalise Mapp, Kyra Sargent, and Janique Shallow are the winners of the secondary school mobile app category of this year's NTRC iCode 784 competition. The group Jamtech of the St. Vincent Grammar School was second, and third place AKSP Titans of the Sandy Bay Secondary School. The group A-Team 3.0 of the Union Island Secondary School came out on top in the secondary school idea category. Young Minds of the St. Vincent Grammar School was second, and third place the Anitrack of the St. Vincent Grammar School. E-Tech with Anthony Cuffey and Nikolai Williams won the open category, with second place going to the group Iris and third place to S&N Innovations. Here's a snippet of the 3 first-place winners of the different categories of the competition.
It offers individuals the chance to engage in volunteer or paid work within community-based organizations, thereby fostering a series of community spirit. It enables organizations to acquire more personnel to execute community-based activities. And young people can gain important work experience from being involved in meaningful activities and get rated for their participation.
Information fragmentation, complex planning, travel uncertainties, unreliable ferry transportation, and highly priced accommodations are the problems that our app addresses. So much to do, such little time.
Introducing Vincitivities, a versatile application that caters for tourists and locals who are willing to explore the islands of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It offers seamless access to transportation services, fun activities, accommodations, and shopping opportunities.
Persons today experience problems such as finding a church to visit or attend, especially in an unfamiliar area or country. They do not know the church schedule for church activities or the notices made. It is difficult to locate churches on social media platforms or even find live streams to view. Many persons long for an app just like Evangelize that can connect all churches on one platform. Aims. Evangelize aims to solve all of these problems by bridging the gap between public and church.
The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, in collaboration with the National Commission on Crime Prevention, the NCCP, the Police Band, and the Stubbs Police Youth Club, conducted a walkabout and community concert yesterday in Diamond at the intersection next to Yankees establishment. Speaking at the community concert, Superintendent of Police Junior Simmons stated that the police force is seeking to implement a police youth club and a neighborhood watch group in the area.
Because we believe that when you become part of these groups, then you'll be able to look out for one another. So instead of a neighbor arguing and fighting with another neighbor, you would be looking out for each other's needs and well-being. Also, we want to again convey our deepest condolences to the family of little Kendi, who was tragically burned to death in the fire on November 1st, 2023. We again extend our sympathies to his family and his friends. And we want to urge parents to always stay close to your children. Children need your love, care, and attention. Do not leave them by themselves.
The Deputy Commissioner of Police, Frankie Joseph, said it is the third community walkthrough event by the RSVG Police Force thus far, and they plan to make the police presence felt in all communities across SVG.
In communities, the residents are saying that they don't see the police anymore. They only see the police if they go to the police station to make a report. So we decide as the senior command of the police force that we would do the walkthrough in communities. As a result of that, that would encourage and spill off on the NCOs in charge of police stations with their junior constables, that they themselves would patrol, do foot patrols throughout the communities, that the residents would be able to see them, speak to them, and they can form a bond. So our walkthrough is not only just walking through the communities. Our walkthrough really and truly is to encourage the police that are stationed in our district stations, that they need to do more of this. Not only to ride in the transport to go through the communities, that if people have a complaint, they have to come out to flag it down. But if you walk through the communities, you will be more in touch with the residents of the communities. They would be able to talk to you. You would form the necessary bond that if there is something that you can call on somebody.
The walkabout and community concerts are part of the police force's continuous outreach to improve the organization's relationship with communities and members of the general public. The overarching objective is to build safer and resilient communities through community policing. Here's a snippet of the community concert yesterday in Diamond. The duty-free concession on Christmas barrels coming into SVG commenced yesterday and will run up to December 31st. During the Cop Chat program today, Inspector of Police Dwayne McKenzie urged parents to desist from bringing children onto the port compound when they're clearing barrels to prevent accidents, as machinery moves around quite frequently.
During this Christmas period, it's going to be rush. There are going to be plenty of people coming to get the stuff out. So we don't want children in the mix, so we have to be very careful. So that's why we're advising that you do not bring the children along when you're coming to do business, especially during this busy time. Also, when persons come to the port, sometimes two persons come with one paperwork. We don't want to have too much people on the port at the same time, because we might not be able to give account of persons moving up about the port. So once you come with a paperwork, one paperwork, one person. And when you say paperwork, might have 3 barrels according to the maximum that customs will give the concession on. Okay, if we have 3 barrels, 1 post will have to come and do it. We just try to minimize the amount of posts on the port at any time. So we won't have any, because in the shed, we have pump cart moving pallets, forklift moving among people. So if we have people crowding up the shed, we might have incidents and accidents. And this happened already in the past, and we're trying to minimize these incidents.
Noting the common misconception of free barrels, Inspector McKenzie said it is a duty-free concession, where a particular percent will be removed from the barrel charges. However, persons are still required to pay the port charges along with the amount that customs would value the barrels for.
It's a concession where they take off as a concession. So most of the money will be taken off, because during the year they will pay about 47% of duties on the barrel. But during the Christmas season, you just pay about $15 or $25. So it's not free barrel, it's concession. That is how people get misled. It's concession, which means something will be taken off. And a bit of clothing.
Okay.
I gotta say a bit of clothing, right? Because with clothing, persons could say, when a whole barrel full of clothes with the intention to sell. So customs will go just for a certain amount of clothes, where they will give you the concession. Persons will want to use the opportunity to bring clothing for sale. So customs still have to be mindful of this, because persons will want to use the opportunity.
Operations officer attached to the Camden Park port, Alan Weeks, said that improvements have been made in the clearance system for barrels, including a location ID system.
Whereby each cargo or sets of cargo are being placed in a location area, and when customers come, they are being given an identification number to retrieve cargo from that location. So that within itself makes that process more efficient. In addition to that, we used to have 3 windows in our cash office at the time that you came in 2018. Now we only have 1.
Okay.
And that 1 window is the cash window. So when you come, instead of going, previously you had the tailgate, where you get your charges worked out, then you have the cashier, where you go and pay your charges, and then you will have what you call a gate pass window. We have since eliminated the tailgate window and the gate pass window. So when customer comes to the port, they'll go directly to the cashier with the requisite port charges, and then they'll proceed to the transit shed, where they'll get their cargo delivered to them.
While noting that food items and clothing fall under the category for duty-free concession, Inspector McKenzie said electronics will have to pay the full cost.